Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Plantain, and today we're going to be taking a look at the latest in Godfrey We Trust podcast. And in this podcast, Godfrey is going to be talking about the FBA backlash he's been receiving. As we all know, FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans. And a lot of these FBAs believe that Godfrey he's been rather disparaging towards that community. He's been making a lot of negative comments towards that community. That's what they're saying. Now, if you ask me, as a Black British individual, as also a fellow Nigerian, my parents are Nigerian, I believe that Godfrey is just a very passionate individual, and sometimes that passion can come across as being rather negative. Sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, your words, you don't choose your words as carefully as you should. And I believe Godfrey kind of got caught up in that. If you ask me, that's just my general opinion. But guys, I cannot wait to get into this. This should be very, very interesting indeed. If it's your first time on this channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could tap that like button, comment below, and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's do this.
James,
hey, what's going on?
You're on the air.
Hey, listen. I just want to say that I'm proud of Godfrey for going off last show, because you've been kind of straddling in this whole FBA thing.
Listen, and this is like, we're going to have a normal conversation. What have I been straddling? Because I've been called names. They even called me a tether. They said, hey, Godfrey, don't speak up for us, this whole shit. And so what do you say? What do you say?
I'm just saying, I feel like we have to not defend these people, because they're in the comment section bitching at everything. I feel like not all Black Americans, but a lot of them have become the offended by everything, ashamed of nothing crowd. You know what I mean?
Right.
Are you FBA or what are you?
See, here we go. No, I'm not FBA.
I just asked. If I can't ask you.
No, I say that because that's the typical response to the questions that they ask.
No, but
if you have an opinion, straddle,
we gotta know when you say that. If I can't ask you what it is, I feel you. So here's what I think. Black people will never be able to get where they need to be until we remove those lines of division. But you still can't deny the fact that there are Africans, West Indians, Caribbeans, and Afro-Latinos who come in with this need to be as close to whiteness as possible. So, which is, you can't deny that. Even when it comes to English actors, let me finish. Even when it comes to English actors, the people who are giving these parts out, they're giving the parts out to people. Even when you come to Obama, I don't think they would have ever had an African-American Black president.
I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that last show, and I disagree with you on that.
You're just wrong. Even when you talk about fucking Jon Stewart, The Daily Show, it's okay to have what you call it, Trevor Noah as the head of American, and there's American comics
American Black
who could have done it.
Perfect.
So I'm not.
I kind of understand where Dante is coming from. There does seem to be this thing within America where Black individuals who come from outside the United States, they're kind of looked upon as, perhaps more respectable. Some people might come across my channel, hear me speaking, and think I'm like an intelligent guy. Realistically, I'm dumb as fuck. That's why I run this YouTube channel. I'm not a smart guy. I do believe in the United States, in the Hollywood system, they look upon, Black actors or Black presenters or Black comedians, Black British comedians, Black British actors and whatnot as more intelligent than their African American counterparts. I do think that's realistic, and that's essentially why the John Boyegas and the Damson Idrises and all of these guys became very popular. Not only that, of course, you know, these guys went to very good drama schools. But at the same time, it's like you do have African Americans who go to very good drama schools too. You know what I mean? Perhaps you could argue that the system in Britain and the UK is perhaps to a slightly higher standard, you know, with all the theatre training and whatnot. Britain, the United Kingdom, is the home of Shakespeare. You know, theatre arguably started in Britain, London to be specific. So I can kind of understand why certain, you know, US producers and directors and writers might want to incorporate these Black British actors into the fold and bring them on board for these, you know, fantastic film productions. But at the same time, I do be looking at African American actors. I'm thinking to myself, these guys can really act. These guys are very talented. These guys should be treated with respect. I made a video about Jonathan Majors a few weeks ago talking about how he, to me, was one of the greatest actors out there. His aura, his gravitas was just unbelievable. I think he was the next guy up. So I see where Dante is coming from. I do believe a lot of producers, American producers, white American producers, they deem Black people outside of the United States as being greater than, or, you know, they give them more respect. I have seen that.
Comics
American Black
who could have done it.
Perfect.
So I'm not saying that you can but you can't say that this doesn't exist. That there are immigrant Black people or Black people who are immigrants who come here with this idea and say that FBA and Black Americans are a subculture because of the fact that white supremacy is set up to make Black people, Black Americans, descendants of slaves, as the untouchables. And you get.
I feel what you're saying.
Okay, so I don't understand what you mean.
So what are you? Are you American?
No.
No, I'm Haitian. I've been here since I was 4. But
Okay.
I'll say this. What about Black Americans that say we don't want to live in the hood or near other Black people?
Black people do not say that.
Mindset.
Black people do not say that.
I've been around some Black Americans.
First of all, I've had situations where Haitian women, where I was like, hook me up with your cousin. And this chick I was working, she was like, I would never have you Black American.
And she's ignorant.
Well, there's ignorance in every group.
This is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
You can't say that doesn't exist.
But let me say this, though. When I went to school, when I was in high school, back in the day, there was this thing called Haitian Fridays.
Okay.
Haitian Fridays down here in Miami would be.
I knew you were from Florida. They did it in Florida. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. When school let out, Black Americans, the kids would find any Haitian and jump on them. That was Haitian Fridays. For no reason.
Well, that's a group of motherfuckers. That's not everybody. But that was wrong.
It's wrong, but you're also talking about this is a white supremacist society set up to turn Black people against Black people.
That's right.
So, but if there's no way you could tell me that you're Haitian and you haven't heard fucking your family members, Haitian family members, not talk about Black Americans in a negative way.
Not my family members.
None.
Not my family members.
None.
Not my family members.
Okay,
no.
what about other Haitians?
They've said it. Caribbeans and Africans have said it.
No, I'm being honest. I'm being
okay, so you've
honest.
never heard that. You've never heard other Haitians downgrade or talk about Black folks.
It happens all the time. I can only speak from my experience as a Black British individual, but here in the UK, more so in the 90s and early 2000s, you would get Africans who would kind of look down upon Jamaicans and whatnot. There was that whole big controversy surrounding, Godfrey's 154 podcast, where Gina Yashere talked about how back in the days there did seem to be a little dispute between Africans and Jamaicans and Africans and people from the Caribbean. There's always been a sort of this conflict between Black factions of people. So if it's happening here in the UK, I imagine it's happening in America too. But I've heard it. I've heard these rumors. I've heard these things over the years that, Africans would look down upon African Americans because they don't have a proper culture and they're born in a one-parent household. You know, their father ran away, their father has multiple kids. There's that African American stereotype. And unfortunately, you do have Africans, especially the older Africans, who would come into these countries and they look down upon the black people that have already been there for God knows how many years. So I understand where Dante is coming from. But what I will say is a very old mindset. Like, black people like me nowadays don't really carry that mindset. You know, we don't really carry that mindset. Most of us are just trying to live good, eat good. You know what I mean? We don't really have time for this. And I think that's the main issue that a lot of people seem to be overlooking. Like, I think what Godfrey is trying to do is bring black people together, the entire diaspora together. At the same time, I understand the FBA community's mentality. You know, they want to delineate themselves. They want to maintain their own culture because, quite frankly, African American culture is somewhat distinct from African culture. And of course, when we talk about African culture, there are many countries within Africa. So even saying that is a bit tricky because there are many different cultures. West Africa, East Africa, you know. I do believe Godfrey's mind is in the right place. He's not speaking from a place of malice or anger or frustration. He's speaking from a place of, guys, let's just come together, let's work together, let's build together. But not everyone carries that same mentality, and that's the reality of things. We're not all the same, and we need to appreciate our differences and our different belief systems and whatnot.
Never heard that. You've never heard other Haitians downgrade or talk about black folks in that way.
I've heard, but
right,
not recently. Not recently, but like back in the day.
We're just talking about in general, whether it's recent.
But you cannot say that it doesn't exist. I'm not for it either.
It exists.
So, but that's all we're saying.
What I'm saying is there's like Godfrey said, there's ignorant people on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just what it is. You know, but now, okay, like the U.S. team right now.
Yeah.
There's people online that's mad at that Florian. I think his name is Florian guy. He's the best player on the U.S. team.
The Nigerian guy.
Because he's not. Yeah, the Nigerian guy, because he's not FBA. He's representing the USA. What's the problem?
Well, first of all, most FBAs aren't playing soccer. Nigerians are. I'm just saying, there are some black American players, but not every black.
I don't understand
not every black American is rushing to play soccer.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Nigerians will play soccer because that's what they play.
But you acting like you don't know Haitians that don't shit on black people the same way.
And the reality, Nigerians play soccer because it's a British sport, and we all know Nigeria was colonized by Britain. So a lot of our taste and a lot of our, sports and heritage actually kind of comes from Britain. So that's why you get a lot of Nigerians obsessed with football. You know what I mean? We're just following what our, colonizers, play. That's their game. And so naturally, we incorporated that game into our culture as well. Whereas, in the United States of America, a lot of guys don't even know about football or soccer. They don't know what the game is about. They have zero interest in it. The sports that are big in the United States amongst the African-American community, it's like basketball, American football or football. These sports are prominent within the African-American community. Let's be honest, these sports were essentially built by the African-American community. I mean, before the likes of Michael Jordan, was basketball even doing that well? You know what I mean? Like, Black Americans built basketball. They built that sport from the ground up. Let's keep it 100. I understand that it was created by white guys, but I mean, you look at basketball today, the prominent players are all black. Of course, the WNBA, Caitlin Clark seems to be dominating. She's a white woman. She's completely dominating that sport. But in terms of basketball, men's basketball, it's very much a black game.
acting like you don't
and they
know
should still be
Haitians
proud.
that don't
They should
shit
still
on
be
black
proud.
people the same way. You're acting like that was not part of the culture to say when you go to
No.
America, don't mess with those black guys. They're gang members.
There's
They
ignorant,
don't want to go to
there's
school.
ignorant,
They're ugly.
there's
They're
ignorant
nasty.
people.
Huh?
There was ignorant. I'll say this though. I remember. Listen, I'll be honest with you. When I was maybe 9,
Uh-huh.
I went to like a private Catholic school.
Uh-huh.
And, and everything was like civil. It was nice until my parents took me out of Catholic school and put me in public school. And then I was around like hoodish black American kids, and it was a difference. It was like, damn, who raised you niggas?
Yeah,
I'll
but
be
that's
honest,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
you're
like,
talking. You're talking about.
But listen. I went to school
Come on, dog,
with.
stop.
I went to school. My high school was dope, but I was with a lot of smart black kids, and there were a couple. There were white kids
Yeah.
that weren't shit. There was like everybody was a little. There
But
were a couple
I went
losers
to-
in every race, but there was a lot of smart black kids who graduated top of their class.
I went to Brooklyn Tech, and there was a smart kids with that wasn't a problem. But what I'm saying is, culturally, white supremacy puts African Americans, black descendants of slaves, at the bottom of the totem pole. So, and if you're not going to acknowledge that, then you're just not telling the truth. If maybe you had maybe you had an exceptional family and none of them had any of that at all. But listen, Trinidad and fucking Jamaica shit on each other. So I mean,
yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not. Dominicans shit on Haitians. But if we say that it is part of a white supremacist structure, then we have to acknowledge that and try to remove that away. Stop trying to go, it's not happening, because it is happening.
I'm not. I'm not saying
So when you
it's
said
not
I was
happening.
straddling.
I said in my family. I said in
No,
my
no.
family.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you. What's your name again?
James.
James, what when you said I was straddling the FBA thing, what did you mean? I didn't, because the FBA thing.
I meant that. I meant that almost like it seems like they're in the chat, but you kind of like ignored a little bit until last week.
First of all, I don't have my glasses, so I can't see half the shit. So, but I didn't ignore. What do you mean ignore it?
Ignore it. That's just not true.
No, because first of all, the way these responses are moving, they're moving so fast. What did I ignore though?
Ever since, the loss in Godfrey We Trust podcast, a lot of people have been pumping out videos about, Godfrey's disagreements with the FBA community. And like I said earlier, I think that Godfrey clearly cares strongly about the FBA community. It doesn't take a genius to work that out. For years, Godfrey has been preaching about the accomplishments of the African American community, not the African community, but the African American community. He's talked about African American inventors. He's talked about African American scientists and doctors and very prominent African Americans. So I would advise people I understand, like, when it comes to these topics, people get very emotional. Some of these videos they find funny and entertaining, but if you remove yourself from that and actually stand back and look at things objectively, you'd realize that Godfrey clearly cares about the African American community. Like, don't be fooled. Godfrey is a very emotional individual. That's just the reality. And sometimes when he speaks, he just perhaps chooses the wrong words. We all do that when we get emotional. I do that. We all get a little too passionate, and sometimes we'll say things we don't mean. We don't mean to denigrate certain individuals, but we do that as human beings. And I just feel like people need to look at the bigger picture. Godfrey clearly does not hate the FBAs. He loves them. He grew up in America. He grew up in Chicago. He was surrounded by African Americans. I feel like people you just gotta think objectively and realize that Godfrey's coming from a good place. But naturally, if people start pointing a finger and saying, "Oh, you don't care about FPAs," you're gonna get defensive. It's natural to get defensive when you feel like the whole world is against you. And I feel like, ever since that 154 podcast with David or Yellow, ever since that podcast, people have been, getting extremely angry. And I just feel like people you got to be objective, man. You got to realize that Godfrey's coming from a good place. He just gets emotional.
What did I ignore?
I don't think you guys realize, like, when we're doing a podcast, there's
so
people
many
watching, there's so many comments.
And it's in real time.
It's in real time. So if we see a comment, don't address it. We're not ignoring it. We probably just really didn't read it.
Yeah, because I'm like, what?
I feel you.
But James, what's something that I ignored? Did you have like a comment, like someone said this about FBA and you didn't say anything? Is there anything you have?
Okay, so like videos, like there'll be videos like right now, because of the last show, there's a ton of videos people were putting out on YouTube, like that Flacco kid. He did a whole video about you.
Hey James, quick thing. If we don't comics, we don't spend time on YouTube looking up videos that people make about us. Like, so Godfrey's not sitting at home typing and Googling
somebody made something
himself.
about who's Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco was a Nigerian kid on Adams 22 podcast.
He was talking shit about
So
me.
he basically said, because the way you kind of reacted, because you did go off a little bit, like you should be ashamed of yourself.
How?
Bunch of bullshit.
But it just doesn't make any
catering to his
sense.
crowd.
But what should I be ashamed of? I don't. Motherfuckers will talk this shit.
Look, if you're gonna have, you had people who reacted, who called Godfrey a tether. You've had people who said who went the other way and was like, oh, you always, if you're on the internet and you think it's real life, you're bugging.
It's not.
So
it's not. But,
you're wilding out if you even think that somebody gives a fuck. Not only that, but if you're creating content, what you do is whatever controversy it is, that's what you jump on. Most motherfuckers don't give a fuck about nothing they're talking about. What I'm saying to you is the same thing. Wait, let me finish. The same thing that Cardi B said. She said, without African Americans, there would be no Haitian immigrants. There would be no Caribbean immigrants. The civil rights movement was built by African Americans. As African Americans, you do want to be acknowledged for what you did, but you have immigrants who have come here and not even given the credit for how the history. It is just the history.
Because I give props to all those African Americans. But these new niggas,
first of all,
there's Haitian dudes who are third and fourth generation who ain't doing shit either, hustling, doing drugs and everything. As you become Americanized, you do
them too.
I don't know why you think it's better.
First of all, I grew up in America. It's so funny because my friends that grew up with me sending me messages going, Godfrey, you American, man. You grew up with us. My friends were mainly black Americans. Mississippi, Kentucky. I played baseball, basketball, football with black Americans. Always rolled with them. I had like African friends, but I rolled with black people. And so when I took the time in college being discriminated against at a university of 40-something thousand, only 800 black, and all I was around was black fraternities. My girlfriends were black, blah, blah, blah. And then we had a black African-American studies group, and we started reading black books about African history. And then I got these bozos on here talking about I'm a tether. Who fuck are you talking to?
Tether, yeah.
You don't even read half the books that I fucking read. You've not even met them.
You must feel some kind of way if you've been living in America for 40 plus years, and you have young black African Americans calling you a tether, and actually you're gonna feel some kind of way, because the reality is white people probably can't tell the difference between an African and an African American. White cops can't tell the difference between an African and an African American. Naturally, if you're a black man who knows these things, studies these things, you're gonna be able to tell the difference, the different phenotypes, and the different bone structure. I could tell just by looking at Godfrey, he's African, I could tell just by looking at an African American that he's an African American. There are subtle differences, So what I'm basically trying to say is Godfrey obviously experienced the same kind of racism that African Americans were experiencing. Now, just because he was experiencing this same racism doesn't suddenly make him, like a proper foundational black American. I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say is he's kind of experienced the same trials and tribulations that a lot of blacks have experienced. It's just, I mean, come on, guys. That's just reality of things. So I understand where Godfrey's coming from. Now, I know a lot of people will say that, well, just because Godfrey, he read all these books and he experienced all this racism and, he attended all these meetings with prominent black civil rights leaders and prominent black individuals doesn't suddenly make him an expert on, the African American community, doesn't suddenly make him a proper foundational black American. I understand that. And I don't really think he's trying to be in that group. I don't think he's trying to claim that group. He understands where he's from, but at the same time, he also has a lot to say about African Americans because he's existed in America for many, many years. You know what I mean? If you want to call him a tether, I mean, because at this point in time, tether is almost like a slur. It's almost like a slur. You know what I mean? If you want to call him a tether, you could call him a tether, but it doesn't. All that does is cements division. It doesn't help bring black people together. And of course, we all have our own individual issues, right? But collectively, black people, we do have similar issues. So instead of just like separating and calling that person a tether and that person a tether, wouldn't it make more sense if we come together, right? And try to work together and try to build together. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Because at this point in time, a tether is like a slur. People call me a tether and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, people call me a tether all the time. And I'll keep it 100. I probably am a tether. I'm like a whimsical tether. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'd be crip walking, I'd be crip walking down the street. I'd be, proper crip walking down the street. I like African American culture. I grew up in African American culture. Many of us grew up on African American culture. Many of us have a true respect for African Americans and African American leaders and, the Malcolm X's of the world, the Martin Luther Kings of the world. I remember when I was like 13, 14 years old, learning about Huey P. Newton and the Black Panthers and thinking, this is amazing. They didn't teach us about the Black Panthers in school. I ended up watching a film about Huey P. Newton. There's that iconic picture of Huey P. Newton sitting in that chair. And I was like, damn, what a great image. So a lot of us have reverence for these black African American leaders. We have reverence, you know what I mean? So it's just a shame that right now in 2026, there seems to be these outside forces that are trying to, divide us. When a lot of, the diaspora, we all love African Americans. Like, we all respect you guys. So I don't even know what the beef is. It's quite unfortunate.
You don't even read half the books that I fucking read. You've not even met them.
I want to know what his point is.
But he hasn't even, motherfuckers haven't met who I've met. Stokely Carmichael. No, he's from Trinidad. And he created SNCC. He sacrificed his life to speak up for black Americans and black people. He's from fucking Trinidad. No, Marcus Garvey from Jamaica. Shirley Chisholm is Bahamian. You got all these Caribbeans that are legendary,
part of the movement.
And these modern day Negroes who haven't read half the shit we've read, got the fucking nerve to call me a tether. Eat a fucking dick.
That's what I'm saying.
What is your take? I'm not sure what your point is.
That's one thing about Godfrey. I understand that he's emotional, and like I said, Godfrey is a very emotional individual. West Africans in general are, they're emotional. They get heated. They get angry. You know what I mean? But what I would say, Godfrey should try and lay off these terms and these words, because that's what triggers the FBAs. That's what triggers them. So I just recommend Godfrey should just, kind of ease off those words and those, that low terminology, because now, the FBAs are going to get even angrier.
Fucking dick.
That's what I'm saying.
What is your take? I'm not sure what your point is. I'm not being facetious. What are you saying? That it's that Are you saying that FBAs are not, what they're saying is not true? Are you saying that it's not, there's not this prejudice against?
I'm saying to me, they're in a xenophobic group. They should not be promoted. I'm surprised, Dante, that you even like call yourself FBA, because they're really black MAGA. I know you're not a Republican. But they're really black MAGA.
Being FBA has nothing to do with being black MAGA.
Yeah, that's different. That's
not even true. And I'm going to tell you something.
It's like black MAGA.
Who's like black MAGA?
Who's that?
Like whenever Tariq
the fact that motherfuckers was talking that Tariq was talking about MAGA and Trump and this and all this shit is just listen. At any time you think that black people are a monolith, you're wrong. But I'm going to tell you something. I had motherfuckers when Kamala was running. I had motherfuckers, am I lying? Shitting on me every day. Because you shilling for the Democratic Party, and now you're looking at this orange bag of shit who fucking is trying to remove the 14th Amendment, and y'all motherfuckers shitted on me every day. I'm not super about y'all talking. Black folks talked about how she was code switching, which is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. The only reason why black people code switch is because of white supremacy. Because you in a white society, you have to adjust so that you make white people comfortable. So everybody code switches. So the fact that they was like, is she Indian? Is she black? That bitch ain't black. It's just dumb. It's dumb. And then you put this motherfucker in office that overturned in Project 2025 in the paperwork. Stephen Miller and them motherfuckers, we're gonna give police officers unmitigated qualified immunity to not be responsible for any violence that they do in the context of their, and motherfuckers voted for Trump on this and talked about Kamala because she said something about collard greens or whatever the fuck. The reason why you code switch is because you have to. White people don't code switch because they own the whole system. So they don't have to make anybody feel comfortable. So this historically, half the motherfuckers don't even know what the fuck they talking about. Motherfuckers don't know what the 14th Amendment was. They're trying to overturn birthright security, birthright citizenship. And motherfuckers are sitting around. And I had motherfuckers, am I lying? Every fucking day.
Every day they were doing that shit.
Pay $20 to shit on me because I was screaming about this.
And now our shit is in shambles, and you're learning, and you can't afford health care. You can't afford health care and none of that shit. And he did exactly what he was going to say. Dante said it over and over, and we're fucked. And now everybody's looking like fucking idiots.
I'll just say one thing before I get off. Shout out to all the African Americans that came before that did the work so we could be here. But these new niggas,
yeah, nigga, I'm not going to let you say that. I mean, because it's new. It's new Haitians.
What are you talking about? New? What are you talking about? New niggas though? What do you mean?
Because he's saying African Americans. These new niggas.
No, you can't say that, man. You can't say that.
There's uneducated people because they have systematically removed our ability to have schools, and your schools are attached to the real estate. So read read the book.
But what if we talk about the Haitian gangs that are fucking things up in Haiti right now? Would that be right to say? They're because with all the natural minerals, there's Haitian gang shit going on. I'm saying I don't know. I know not all of them are, but that would be wrong to say fuck them. These new Haitians ain't shit. That's wrong.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you do that.
We can't insult our folks, man. Of course there are bad people, like I said, but we cannot continue insulting our folks. These new niggas.
Right. When you say things like these new niggas, I'm guessing this caller is referring to African Americans, FBAs, whatever you want to call them. He's basically referring to them. He's basically saying that they are not, respectable. They are not, as hardworking as, perhaps their African counterparts. I got to be honest, this caller, he seems to be bouncing around from one issue to the next. I'm not entirely sure what he's on about, but if he is indeed referring to new niggas and by new niggas, he means, these younger African Americans. Yeah, it is disparaging to say that. And of course, that's exactly why I believe FBAs are trying to separate themselves, because they feel like they're not respected. They feel like they're not respected. They feel like, they're looked down upon. When you continue to disparage them, when you continue to disrespect them, they're gonna fall back. They're gonna fall back. They're not gonna want to associate with the larger, black diaspora. They're not gonna want to do that.
People, like I said, but we cannot continue insulting our folks. These new niggas, what makes you better than them? I'm just saying, what makes you better than them? Honestly, what are you doing that's making you so great? What are you doing for black people that's making it so great since these new niggas is whack?
I'm saying this. They did the work, and because they did the work, I feel like a lot of black Americans or a lot of black people, even Haitians, they feel like, okay, they already did the work. I don't have to do shit.
Who is they?
Ain't nobody doing that.
What about Kodak Black? He's Haitian.
Him too. He's a black MAGA.
But I'm just saying. But you said black Americans, bro. Kodak Black is a Haitian, but he raps and stuff. But he's a Haitian kid.
Haitians too.
I don't know what but you said these black Americans who was there with the thing and the ones that's not, dog. You already, the fact that you're creating you're making this critique about African Americans, and then as if it's not. But after the fact, you like, I'm talking about the Haitian niggas. Look, nigga, young people gonna act young.
That's true.
Uneducated people gonna act uneducated. The problem is we don't read. Nobody reads. Nobody researches nothing. Motherfuckers are so busy in their fucking church
making money online,
reading the white man's Bible instead of fucking reading a book.
How is this tether babble? Fuck you. How's this tether babble? You got my thing is this. My thing is this with the tether thing. Do you have a better argument? What have you read? That's all I ask. Since I'm this tether, I won't speak up for any of you guys anymore.
I think he's talking about the Carter.
How about that? How about I don't speak up for you anymore?
First of all, I think there needs to be a classification for immigrants who come to this country who have been nothing but in black culture. Godfrey been in Nigeria twice.
Yeah.
What the fuck would he know about Nigeria?
I grew up in Chicago, which is
If Godfrey goes to Nigeria, they're not even gonna see him as Nigerian. That's the reality of, the black diaspora. Those who grew up in Britain, in America, who were literally born in these places and raised in these places, they go back. They're not seen as proper, Nigerians or proper, Ghanaians or whatever. I went back to Nigeria. They could tell that I didn't belong there because of the way you walk, because of the way you talk, because of the way you carry yourself. You don't even need to talk, just the way you carry yourself. You kind of carry yourself with a different kind of swag that's different to Nigerian swag. It's just the reality. It's just reality. So yeah, I understand. It's like you're calling him a tether, but Godfrey goes back to Nigeria. They're not gonna really see him as Nigerian, guys. That's the reality that people don't seem to understand. Like, I get it from your perspective. Godfrey is other. He's different. But like, from Godfrey's perspective, if he goes back to Nigeria, they're going, oh, welcome back. We are happy to see you, Godfrey. But realistically, in their minds, oh, yes, but you are American. You're not one of us. And I'm telling you, I'm speaking from experience because the same thing happened to me. If you're born and raised in Britain or America, you go back. They're not taking you seriously, bro. They're not taking you seriously. Now, if you could speak fluent Yoruba or any of the many different Nigerian dialects, okay, they might start taking you seriously. If you put on the accent, if you show the right respect, if you fully understand the culture. But Godfrey, he barely speaks, his mother tongue. There's still many things he doesn't fully know about Nigerian culture. So it's like you're calling him a tether, but it's like, what is he tethered to? Like, because, even when it comes to his own culture, he's not fully ingrained in his own culture. You know what I mean? It's like there's just so many issues within the black community. It's like people don't fully understand. There's so many like layers to this situation. You know, Godfrey's a tether, but Nigerians don't even see him as like proper Nigerian. This isn't just with like Africans or black Africans. I hear about this within the Asian community, like Asians, like East Asians, grow up in Britain, grow up in America. They go back to like Korea, they go back to Japan, China. Again, the natives are gonna look down upon these second generation Asians. They're gonna look down upon them. Well, you can't speak the language. Oh, you got an American accent. I can't take you as a proper Chinese because you don't sound like a proper Chinese. You see this in the Indian community. You see this in every community. This isn't exclusively a black issue. This is a humanity issue. You know what I mean? When we are born in another country and we go back to our original homeland, those natives are going to look down upon us. It's just the reality. So, you know, you have FBAs basically saying, well, Africans look down upon FBAs. Well, Africans look down upon Africans. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much division. And that's the beauty of 154. It's trying to bring everyone on board. It's trying to bring everyone into the same boat and just, you know, let's join hands, bro, instead of just dividing, because all this division, it doesn't really help things.
Ice.
Yeah.
What the fuck would he know about Nigeria?
I grew up in Chicago, which is a very black city. If you don't know the history of Chicago,
it's a slur. It's a slur.
I'm just saying people want to try and disrespect me, but then I speak up for black women. But even in our business, we have taken chances on our careers to speak up for black women. And then I say one little thing, and then some black women go, oh, you ain't shit. I go, bitch, shut the fuck up. I speak up for you guys
That's the offended by everything.
the time. I speak up. I'm not perfect. I'm not speaking up for everything. I don't say everything perfectly, but most of the times, you know what I'm on. I'm all about protecting black folks no matter where they're from. If
the only people I like don't have is Indians. We can shit on Indians. That's
you all are the worst. No, but you know what I'm saying. But hey, I appreciate you calling, man. That was. Yeah.
But
I appreciate that. Call with some other questions and shit.
But the reality is it's
take it easy, man.
White people who are accepted as white, and everybody else, and that means Filipinos, Laotians, and everybody else. Yeah. The problem is motherfuckers think because they can move themselves closer to whiteness, because move closer to the power structure. They're trying to do that so that they don't got to get that heat that black folks get. Meantime, black folks get it. You don't have a choice.
Everybody that I grew up with that were Cambodian, Laos, Filipino, Vietnamese, that were my friends, that were refugees, told me that when they were in the office, you know, coming in, getting their government papers, all that, they said, stay away from black people.
Yeah,
they told us the truth. Yeah. They were like, oh, they tell us, don't black people steal black people. I go, but we just gave you clothing.
Yeah.
But they would just, in their head, the white motherfuckers would tell them, stay away from black. That's all they think about. Stay away from black people. What do we do about black people? It's on their mind.
Manipulation, bro. That's the media manipulation. They want you to they want
everybody against us because they know we're the strongest. Period. We're the fucking strongest.
And that's what
anybody that's concerned about you. Nobody's concerned about Indian people. Nobody thinks
I'm talking about
no, I'm being honest.
Interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. That went on for longer than expected. But guys, let me just leave it there. It's a very interesting conversation. Very, very interesting conversation. It was a bit messy. I think the caller was essentially on the side of you know, Godfrey. Like he wasn't pro FBA, but it was a bit messy. The conversation was a bit messy. But like I said, you know, I feel like Godfrey's heart is in the right place. And I feel like we gotta just exercise logic here. Godfrey has been preaching the good word about African Americans for years, for as long as I can remember. You know, he was born and raised in you know, Chicago, I believe, or was it Nebraska? I'm not entirely sure. He was born and raised in America. He was raised in America, you know. He knows a lot about Nigerian culture. He was obviously raised in a Nigerian household. But like I said, if he goes back to Nigeria, they're not going to consider him properly Nigerian. It's just a reality. So it's like, you know, you want to ostracize Godfrey, but you don't realize even within his own community, they don't see him fully as proper Nigerian. You know what I mean? So it's just something to think about. It's something to think about. I understand the FBA community. They wanna protect their culture. They wanna, you know, protect their people, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I expressed in this video how African American culture is a beautiful culture. Many prominent African American leaders have done many great things for not just their community, but black people as a whole. I respect that. I admire that. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not taking anything away from the FBA community. But what I will say is, you know, people like Godfrey, but they're not coming from a negative place. They're just trying to essentially bring the entirety of black people together. That's all he's trying to do. That's all he's trying to do. And sometimes he gets a little too emotional, and that can be a little problematic. But I don't think he's coming from a bad place. But guys, let me just leave it out. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you later.